They say avoidants fear love. That's wrong. Avoidants don't fear love, they fear needing love. There's a difference. Because needing means surrendering control, opening doors they've spent their whole life locking. They wear independence like armor, but deep down, that armor isn't strength, it's protection. Protection from a wound so deep, they stopped believing anyone could handle it. The origins of avoidance. Avoidants aren't born, they're built. Somewhere in their early years, they learned a hard truth: emotional closeness comes with pain. Maybe it was neglect, inconsistency, or rejection, whatever the cause. They internalized the belief that relying on others is dangerous. Psychologically, avoidant attachment forms when a child's needs for affection and comfort are met with distance, dismissal, or criticism. So they adapt. They learn to self-soothe, self-protect, self-contain. They grow up appearing strong, independent, emotionally calm, but beneath that is chronic loneliness masked as composure. The adult avoidant doesn't crave independence out of pride. They crave it because dependence once meant humiliation or hurt. So they learn to survive without leaning. The myth of independence. Avoidants like to say, "I don't need anyone." It sounds confident, but it's actually a trauma response. Their independence is built on distrust. The same walls that protect them also isolate them. From the psychological standpoint, independence for avoidance isn't freedom, it's emotional exile. They crave connection as much as anyone else, but their nervous system associates closeness with danger. So every time intimacy grows, their body reacts like it's under attack: tension, withdrawal, silence, escape. They'll tell you they're fine when they're dying inside. They'll pull away right when things get real. And the irony is, inside that distance, they ache for someone to stay. The rare person who breaks through. Every avoidant, no matter how closed off, eventually meets one person who reaches through the walls. Not because that person forces entry, but because they offer something rare. Safety without pressure, love without expectation, presence without control. This person doesn't demand vulnerability, they inspire it. They understand the silence, the distance, the shutdowns. They don't chase. They stay steady. They don't try to fix the avoidant. They simply refuse to abandon them when their defenses appear. Psychologically, this creates cognitive dissonance in the avoidant mind. Their system screams, "Run," but their heart whispers, "Stay," and for the first time, they begin to question the belief that love equals danger. That's the moment real bonding begins, not through passion or drama, but through consistency, patience, and understanding. Why the bond becomes permanent. Avoidants don't attach easily, but once they do, the bond is irreversible. Because it's not a casual connection. It's a rewiring of their entire attachment system. This one person becomes the first human who made them feel safe enough to be seen. The mind never forgets that level of safety. So even if distance, silence, or separation follows emotionally, they remain tethered. Unlike anxious individuals who attach to many and move on quickly, avoidants form one profound, rare attachment that etches deep into their identity. Psychologists call this a singular emotional imprint. It's not obsession, it's loyalty built on gratitude. Gratitude toward the person who saw through their armor and loved what others didn't even notice existed. The internal conflict. For avoidants, love becomes a paradox. They crave closeness, yet fear it. They want connection, yet sabotage it. They want to trust, but can't. So even when they find that one rare person, their instinct is to test them subtly or painfully. They'll withdraw, ignore, or emotionally shut down. Not because they don't care, but because they're terrified of losing control. Vulnerability, for them, equals risk. This is why relationships with avoidance often feel like being close to someone who's physically there but emotionally far away. The closer you move, the more they retreat. But deep down, they're watching. They notice your tone, your patience, your reactions. They test whether you'll give up. If you stay long enough to prove that your love doesn't demand, doesn't chase, doesn't control, something miraculous happens. The walls begin to crack. The moment the wall breaks, when an avoidant finally lets someone in, It's not through tears or words, it's through consistency. It's when they stop pretending to be fine. It's when they finally admit, in their own quiet way, that they care. Maybe it's a text after weeks of silence. Maybe it's a look that says more than any confession could. Psychologically, this moment is massive. It represents the collapse of defensive. Avoidance, the subconscious surrender of emotional control. The avoidant realizes that connection isn't a threat anymore, it's a relief. But here's the catch, they only reach this stage once in a lifetime. Because once they've risked everything emotionally, they won't go through that process again. It's too painful, too raw, too exposing. That's why they bond deeply with only one rare person. Why most people never see that side. Most relationships never reach this depth because few people have the patience or emotional stability to coexist with an avoidance patterns. Many walk away early interpreting silence as rejection, distance as disinterest. But those who understand the psychology behind the behavior realize something deeper. Avoidance isn't lack of love, it's fear of being loved. To witness the real avoidant, the soft, loyal, deeply emotional version, you must earn their trust over time. You must show them that love doesn't demand performance, that safety can exist without control. Once they experience that, they attach with a depth that few people ever achieve. So yes, avoidants wear independence like armor, but not because they don't feel. They feel too much. That's why they hide it. And when that one person finally reaches them, everything changes. Their emotional world shifts from survival to connection. They begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, love doesn't have to hurt. But that's only half the story. Because the real challenge begins after they bond, when their fears resurface, their instincts fight back, and the person who broke through must decide whether to stay or let go. That's what we'll uncover next. Why avoidants push away the person they love most, how that bond remains permanent despite distance, and what it truly means to be the one who changed everything. When love becomes a threat, once an avoidant finally opens up and allows someone in, something paradoxical happens. They start pulling away again. It's not rejection, it's fear in disguise. Because to an avoidant, deep love feels dangerous. Their nervous system isn't built for sustained vulnerability. When things become emotionally intense, when they start depending, missing, needing, their brain triggers an alarm. You're losing control. You're too close. You could get hurt again. So they retreat. They go silent. They disconnect. It's not about you, it's about their internal panic system trying to protect them from emotional exposure. They're not running from you. They're running from the feeling of being vulnerable. This cycle is what makes loving and avoidance so confusing. One moment you see their depth, the care, the softness, the trust, and the next, you face a wall of distance that feels ice cold. But that wall doesn't mean the bond is gone. It means they care so much that they don't know how to manage it. The push and pull dynamic, avoidants live in a constant psychological tug-of-war. They want closeness, but they crave control. When you move close, they feel trapped. When you move away, they panic. So they pull and push, not because they're cruel, but because they're trying to balance love with emotional safety. From a psychological standpoint, this comes from disorganized emotional regulation. Their childhood trained them to expect inconsistency, love that appeared, then vanished. So now, as adults, they recreate that same pattern unconsciously. It's not sabotage, it's survival. To love an avoidant, you have to understand this paradox. When they distance, they're not ending the connection. They're managing it. The more intense the emotion, the more space they need to process it. Ironically, that distance doesn't weaken the bond. It deepens it because it gives them time to realize that even in separation, their attachment remains intact, the permanent connection. Here's the part few people understand. When an avoidant truly bonds with someone, it's forever. Even if they move on, change cities, or fall silent for years, that emotional imprint never fades. Psychologically, this happens because avoidants are highly selective with attachment. Since they rarely let anyone in, their brain encodes that single connection as a core memory. It becomes intertwined with their emotional identity. That one person becomes a reference point, a safe symbol in their subconscious. Every future relationship gets measured against that standard of safety, acceptance, and trust. That's why you often hear, they never forget the one person who stayed when everyone else left. For the avoidant, love isn't casual, it's singular, sacred, and irreversible. Even if they seem detached, they carry that person's presence quietly, like a ghost they never stop feeling. Why they rarely love twice. Avoidants don't fall in love easily, and they don't fall in love often. That's because every deep connection forces them to confront the parts of themselves they've avoided for years. Once someone breaks through, it's like emotional exposure therapy, painful but transformative. They change after that, not instantly but gradually. They start questioning their beliefs. Maybe love isn't control. Maybe closeness doesn't mean weakness. Maybe I can need someone without losing myself. And because that awakening is so intense, they don't open up again. The emotional cost of vulnerability is too high to repeat. They might meet others, date others, even seem happy, but that one bond remains unchallenged. It becomes their emotional blueprint. That's why when avoidants lose the one person who truly understood them, they don't move on, they shut down. It's not heartbreak. It's regression. They revert to survival mode, to the old walls, to the numbness that once kept them safe. What it feels like to be the one. If you're the person who broke through, the one they bonded with, your experience is unlike anything else. You've seen both versions of them, the cold, detached shell and the warm, deeply loyal heart inside. You've watched them retreat when overwhelmed, and you've also witnessed their rare moments of raw vulnerability, when they let their guard drop, even for a second. Being the one means holding power you never asked for. Because even when they push you away, they still feel connected to you. They might never say it, but they feel it every time they remember how you made them feel safe, understood, and accepted. For you, that connection can feel like both a blessing and a curse, because you'll sense it too. That invisible pull that doesn't fade even when words stop and distance grows. The healing process. Avoidants don't heal through confrontation or pressure. They heal through acceptance and self-awareness. The moment they realize they're not being judged, not being chased, and not being forced, their system begins to calm. Healing begins when they start to understand that independence and vulnerability aren't opposites, they can coexist. Real love doesn't demand dependency. It offers freedom through safety. For avoidants, this realization often comes late, after they've already lost the one person who showed them real connection. That loss becomes their awakening. They finally understand that love wasn't meant to cage them. It was meant to free them from fear. When the bond outlasts the relationship, not every connection survives in form, but the emotional imprint always survives in memory. That's what makes avoidant love so haunting. It doesn't fade with time. It transforms. You may never speak again, but their behavior, choices, and emotions will forever carry traces of you. The way they communicate, the way they handle future relationships, you'll see your reflection in all of it. And deep down, they'll know that was the one person who saw me. Even if life moves on, even if they never say it aloud, that bond remains a permanent echo. The truth about avoidant love. So what's the truth? Avoidants aren't incapable of love. They're terrified of it. But once they love, it's unconditional, loyal, and lifelong. They won't show it through constant words or affection. They'll show it through quiet presence, small consistency, and the fact that no one else ever quite measures up. If you've ever loved an avoidant, understand this. Your connection was real. The distance, the silence, the walls, none of it erased the bond. They just didn't know how to handle something that felt safe. And if you are the avoidant, understand this. The armor that once protected you is now the prison keeping you from love. True strength isn't in never needing anyone. It's in letting someone in and realizing that vulnerability won't destroy you. In the end, avoidant love is tragic yet beautiful. It's the story of people who learn to survive alone, finally discovering someone who made them feel safe, and then struggling to believe they deserve it. They might run, hide, or retreat, but they never forget. Because for them, love isn't about quantity, it's about depth. And once that depth is reached, it marks them for life. So if you've been that one rare person, know this, you changed them. Even if they never said it, even if you're no longer there, you became their emotional home, the place their heart still returns to in silence. And if you're an avoidant listening right now, take this as truth. The walls you built aren't strength, they're scars. And somewhere out there, the person who broke through them still believes you're capable of love. You just have to believe it too. They say avoidants can't love, but they can more deeply than anyone. They just love differently, quietly, and for life. Because once someone breaks through their walls, that love never dies.